In 2023, a record 672,000 people moved to the UK chasing their dreams. That's more than the population of Liverpool. But here is what's interesting. While headlines scream about UK's economic crisis, immigration numbers keep rising. In 2023, Indians were the largest group of immigrants to the UK with almost 250,000 arrivals. I myself moved to the UK back in 2015 from India to work here as a doctor. And despite having the option to return to India, I decided to stay here. Today, I am diving deep into whether the UK is still a great place to live in 2025. As an NHS consultant, I will be sharing my personal experiences and insights from living and working here. So stick around to find out if the UK is still worth moving in 2025. If you are new here, my name is Suman. I work as a doctor in the UK and I have been documenting my journey about moving to the UK from India to building a £100,000 investment portfolio on this YouTube channel. I share everything I wish someone had told me when I started out. No sugarcoating, just real numbers and practical advice. If this is of interest to you, then please consider subscribing to my channel and hit the like button so that this video reaches out to more and more people like you. Now, let me address the elephant in the room. You have probably seen headlines about UK's economic crisis, and as someone who is living here, let me be honest about what's really happening. Let me explain five major challenges the UK is facing in 2025. Number one is housing crisis. The house prices are up almost 1000% since 1980s, and this is particularly a problem in large cities like the London. Half of people's salaries go for rent in London. Even my NHS consultant salary wouldn't get me a decent house in central London. Because of high rent or mortgage payment, most of your income actually goes towards this, and this leaves you less and less money for disposable income. Next is NHS struggles. As a doctor, this hits close to home. On one hand, we have staff recruitment and retention crisis. On the other hand, there is long waiting list for clinics and elective procedures like surgeries. Just yesterday, a patient told me they have been waiting 8 months for their surgery. We are now seeing increasing competition for specialty training for junior doctors, job crisis for fresher doctors who have just completed their PLAB exam, and this makes the prospect of entering specialty training for international medical graduates more and more difficult. The NHS is also losing staff to private sectors as well as many are deciding to go abroad because the system here is overwhelmed. Number three is high taxes in the UK, and it is a painful reality. Look at these tax slabs. Up to £12,570, there are no taxes, and this is called the personal allowance. Up to 50,000, you pay 20% tax. Over 50,000, you are paying 40% tax. Over 125,000, you pay 45% tax. But there is something called 100,000 tax trap that I have discussed in one of my previous videos. Above £100,000, you are effectively paying 60% tax on some of your income as the personal allowance tapers off at this level. My Indian colleagues are always shocked when I explain the tax system here. Recently, there have been news reports that a lot of millionaires and ultra high net worth individuals have moved their base out of the UK, particularly due to the current government policies and high tax rules. Another economic reality is that the national debt of UK has gone up significantly in the last few years. For example, the Brexit, COVID, and the Ukraine war, it's all added up. The government has less money for public services and we are all feeling it. Apart from the housing cost, the cost of general living in the UK has also gone up over the last few years, and this is what we call the cost of living crisis. The living cost, for example, the groceries, travel, entertainment, have gone up in the last few years due to high inflation and high fuel and energy cost. Inflation has now come down a lot. However, the cost of running your day to day life feels too steep at the moment. However, despite the economic challenges, here is why people still choose the UK as a destination for their study or their career. Number one is career stability. From my personal experience as an NHS doctor, I have a job security that's rare in today's world. Even during COVID, when many lost jobs, healthcare professionals had stable income and career progression. Private practice market for doctors in the UK are growing steadily over the last few years. And if you can succeed in there, then it can increase your income significantly. Number two is work life balance. In my 9 years here, I have never had to work the crazy long hours I used to work back in India. I get 32 days annual leave, study leave, protected teaching time when I used to be a doctor in training, and we had predictable working hours. Number three is quality of life. Now, many will argue that the quality of life in UK is not great, and we used to have a great life back in India. And I do agree with that because here you have to do everything for yourself. The cleaning, cooking, washing, everything is your responsibility. Of course, you can hire help and you can actually hire a cleaner for 15 to 20 pound per hour in the UK. However, it saves you a lot of money if you do all these things yourself. This is a real problem and it takes away a lot of your free time that you get during your weekends. Personally, I feel India was a lot better in this aspect because though we used to work long hours in the workplace, but when we used to come home, that time was our own time. However, in the UK, though we have 2 day weekend and we come home by 6 o'clock every evening, a lot of our free time goes towards cooking, cleaning, grocery shopping, and all of these essential activities. Next, I'm going to give you an estimate about the cost of living that I have as a family of two adults and one child. Now, I don't live in London, so my cost of living is a lot cheaper than someone will have in London. Let's start with my actual numbers. As an NHS consultant, my starting basic salary is around 105,000 in a year. Now, this is not the exact salary that I take home because this can actually vary depending on your work commitments and your job plan, but this is a ballpark figure that you can take into account. The take home pay for this salary will be around £5,100 per month after deduction of your taxes, national insurance, as well as NHS pension deductions. The family expenses are something like the mortgage cost around £1,200, the utilities will be another three to £500, the groceries will be something between £300 to £400 for a small family. Another significant cost for a family with a child who is preschool age, that is less than 4 years, is the child care cost in a nursery. And this is particularly bad for a family where both the parents are working. Our childcare costs are around 900 to 1000 pound per month for the nursery. But here is what we are getting in return for all of this taxes and high expenses. Number one is clean air. And as a respiratory physician, I value this deeply. Number two is safe neighborhoods. Number three is decently maintained public spaces in the area where we currently live in the northwest of England. Now let's explore the wealth building opportunities. This is a very important criteria for an Indian to particularly move to a different country because majority of Indians are economic migrants. So we go to another country outside India mainly for better economic opportunities. Here is how I am building my own wealth in this country. Number one is investment freedom. We get annual allowance of £20,000 per year to invest within something called ISA account. So ISA means individual savings allowance. In my ISA portfolio, I can make regular monthly investment, access global markets including US and India, ISA is a tax efficient wrapper where we don't pay any capital gains tax on our gains. This makes ISA one of the essential investment avenues for everyone living in the UK. Number two is opportunities for professional growth. Now, for someone in technology, finance, legal professions, and academic careers, particularly in the universities, UK offers a lot of good career progression opportunities. For someone like me who is a doctor, we have the NHS where we can get a clear career progression. Our qualifications are recognized worldwide and we get global networking opportunities. Let me be completely honest with you about why I continue to live in the UK despite all of its problems. I have already mentioned about the quality of life and the work life balance. The other thing here is that my daughter, while growing up here, has access to a lot of opportunities that I didn't have while I was growing up in India. The most important of them is good quality, free education in government schools. Now, some people do send their children to private schools. However, you do have option for a free government school education here. The other good things are international exposure, cultural diversity, and a global perspective in their career when they are growing up. Number two is professional opportunities. As a doctor, I can focus on patient care, develop and maintain my skills, maintain work life balance, as well as participate in the growing private practice market in the UK. Number three is financial security. Despite high taxes, there is a strong pension system, investment opportunities, free NHS healthcare coverage, though many people are now choosing to pay for private health insurance to access private care. And the other one is education benefits for children. Apart from all this, there are certain advantages in the UK society as a whole. For example, gender equality and merit based system in education and in the job sector. This is something really important for someone like me who was a general category candidate in India, and there I was at a disadvantage in job applications, in educational institution applications, because I didn't have the reservation that some other candidates would have based on their caste and other categories. Now, let me give you some practical advice based on my experience of living here over the last 9 years. Here is how to succeed. Number one is financial planning. Start saving and investing early as soon as you arrive in this country and start earning. Number two is avoid living in London if you can. Now, if you belong to certain sectors like finance, technology, legal professions, then London is the best option for you. But other professionals, certainly for doctors, you should avoid going to London if you wish to save some money in this country. Next is maximize your workplace pension contributions. Use your ISA allowance to the best of your ability. Build emergency fund for at least 6 months of your expenses. Next is focus on career development and progression. Focus on in demand skills, build professional networks, consider additional qualifications, and explore multiple income streams. Is the UK perfect? No. Are there challenges? Absolutely. But here is what I have learned in last 9 years. It's still a land of opportunity if you are strategic about it. And this will depend a lot based on your profession and your skills. If you are someone who is highly skilled and providing some highly specialized services in the finance, technology, legal, or the academic sector, then UK still has a lot of opportunities for you. In my case, yes, I could possibly earn more in India's private healthcare sector, but certainly that won't be a 40-hour a week job with 6 weeks of annual leave and it won't have a pension. Yes, I could have a bigger house and domestic help, but the quality of life, work life balance, and opportunities for my family make the UK worth it for me. Our family manages to save and invest almost 20% of our monthly take home pay while building a secure future. It's possible, but you need to be strategic about it. Will I continue to live in the UK for the rest of my life? Now, this is something that I am not sure about, and I'm open to exploring other opportunities in some other countries where I can get higher pay and less taxes. If you want to learn more about investing in the UK, then check out my video on how to start investing in the UK as a beginner. Don't forget to subscribe for more practical advice about life in the UK. I will see you in the next video.